yeah. Um, my name is Cause Agent Kedu, and this is the Defeat Abbadon No Major Glitches casual run, or category of this run, I guess you can say. And I'll be explaining things as we go. So we're starting as Maxime Gunn. You can play as Alcedor, Plus, or Gardakin. There are a lot of different characters you can play this game as. I'm choosing to play Maxime Gunn. Maxime Gunn is basically a bonus Easter egg, easy version, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, way to play this game. So you actually need to input a code in order to start as this character. You would normally choose what difficulty you want to choose as, and then the name of your file, but in this case you don't get to choose other than using the code. So that's the code. This is Maxime Gunn. This is the casual run of this game. So for example, Maxime Gunn immediately starts only in classic. So what you need to do in order to start as casual mode, you actually need to start your save file. This is the only save that you actually get without a shrine when it comes to this difficulty, this patch of the game. And then when you restart and you essentially kill yourself, the game asks you whether you want to stay in classic mode or casual mode. And in this case, I choose casual because this is the casual mode. So if you want to play casual mode with the easiest character available when it comes to playing Infernax, you actually have to spend like an extra 40 seconds just to set up the file, but other than that, everything is the same. And you would be asking something yourself along the lines of, why would you want to play as casual mode with the easiest character that starts in classic? And that's just because there's it lets you do a lot more things that you would normally do when it comes to this character in general. And due to the fact that there are so many different ways to play this game, there are 60 different ways to actually play this game. Every single category is actually pretty unique to its own. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you choose a category, it is going to be far different from every single other category, especially when it comes to even even what character you choose to play as when it comes to that specific category in general. And again, casual mode with this guy, Maxime Gunn, is far different from classic. The difference between classic and casual is there are shrines within the dungeons, so therefore, even when it comes to this category, you'll have extra save points within each dungeon. The downfall is Maxime Gunn actually starts with 30 lives. He's the only character that starts with 30 lives. The other difference between casual and classic is casual lets you start with 1 extra life, and you would gain that life from touching the shrines, which is the save zones. But because Maxime Gunn is totally unique and he starts with 30 lives, but you actually end up removing the 30 lives, when you restart your save file, you actually have 0 lives. There is a way to gain extra lives in this game. The easiest way to gain lives in this game is simply by buying the extra 1-ups. So each town, there are 3 towns, allows you to buy 1-ups, and you use those as safeties. The other way to gain an easy 1-up is by saving, basically losing all your lives, and then when the game restarts, because you immediately go into save and continue from casual mode, you'll actually gain your 1 life back. But you won't regain that life back like you would with the other characters from touching the shrines. You would actually need to do the same thing again, which is save in a shrine, end all your lives, and then save and continue, and you'll regain your 1 life. So you do essentially waste a lot of time trying to regain that 1 extra life, but at the end of the day, it would be for safety. So you'll be able to use that extra 1-up If when it comes to this category with this specific character, than to risk it and then hope you don't die, essentially. So again, every single run of this game, 60 different runs, is all unique on their own. So obviously each character would have their own version of safety strats. When it comes to this character, you either buy the extra one up or you spend a little bit more time setting up your one extra life, which is exactly what we're gonna do right from the get-go. So we just defeated, I call him Discounted Butcher. I don't know what his name is. This is just how the game starts. No major glitches, so we are not allowed to do any glitches that essentially end up breaking the game to make it faster or easier. So it's, in a matter of sense, the normal way you would play the game, with obviously speed strats in it. So at the end of the day, you're still going as fast as you possibly can. So this is Dungeon 1. I have no idea what the name of the dungeon is, but this is Dungeon 1. And so far, we're just playing the game like normal. When it comes to defeat Abbadon in specific, again, defeat Abbadon is the ultimate evil way of finishing this run. And things start going weird, like somewhere in the middle of the run after Dungeon 3. So far everything is like normal. There isn't really much to say. I'll be upgrading the first time to Power 2, because you can upgrade your stats in this game to have more mana, more power, or more HP. The red bar is your HP, the blue bar is your mana. And power is how much damage, in this case, my bullets do. So if you're wondering what makes Maxime Gunn easy mode is, as you can tell, he can kill anything from afar. And that's what we do. So I'm gonna level up my power here. So anytime you touch a shrine, you can essentially save. You also regain all of your HP, and I shouldn't have done that. And you gain your 1-ups if you have any. This is the first spell that you need in the game. It's the Thunderstorm spell. Now we just play the game like normal again. I've already taken damage, which is not good. So I'm gonna hope that I don't end up dying, because if I do end up dying, I'm gonna have to restart this entire thing. So as you can tell, no enemy is actually a danger to Maxime Gunn, because he can kill him from so far away. But this is the first boss. I have no idea what his name is. I just call him One-Eye Monster. Start off with using your Thunderstorm spell, and then you just attack him from afar. Can't do anything to you. Down he goes. So this run, Infernax, has been showcased on, I believe it was, yeah, SGDQ. I was trying to think where it was ran. It was ran by SGDQ, by a person named Dan the VP, I believe. It was the Defeat Belfagor with Alcidor Classic. This is Defeat Abbadon, an entirely different run. And it's casual. But again, there are a lot of different ways to play this game. This is just the commentary for this specific run. So now we're going over to Dungeon 2. And as you can tell, everything is pretty easy. We can gain a lot of money and a lot of XP as we are moving. Well, that's what we do in order to gain extra damage while still playing the game. If you're playing as any other character, you would either need to stop an attack, because every other character, whenever they end up attacking, they actually stand still as they're doing their animation for attack, and then you would move forward, but Maxime Gunn can continue moving as he attacks, and that's another thing that makes him unique, besides the 30 lives, is he can attack while moving. The music in this game is really good. I'm probably desensitized to it because of playing this game for so long. So I'm gonna end up safety saving here. I'm gonna end my lives, and I'm gonna save and continue. So now, as you can tell, I have a 1 on my bar, which means I can die once and still continue playing the game without any chance of failure. So another thing that a lot of, or should I say, every single other character besides Maxime Gunn, is because they constantly regain their 1 life, especially in casual mode. You can do a lot of small saves by dying and not having to turn back. And this room is one great example. So for Maxime Gunn, he needs to walk back the way he came in order to exit this room, because he doesn't have the extra 1 life to make him not having to do that. So even though I do have one life right now, if I end up dying, I don't regain that 1 life by simply touching another shrine. So even though I did do the safety to have the 1 extra 1-up, I'm not going to end up using it unless I have to, and not just using it willy-nilly, because, and then again, it's the safety 1-up. I'm gonna have to do that entire setup of saving, dying, and then saving and continuing just to get the 1-up back. So we kind of want to avoid that as much as we possibly can, but the way I am playing the game right now, which was taking damage in that 1 room, is to save time. So even though it is a safety save, I am still playing the game like normally. Now, if I were to lose my life and have back down to 0, obviously at that point I would play safe when it comes to playing the game, because I don't want to end up dying. So this is the other upgrade that we need. This is the Precision Strike. It allows us to break blocks that are breakable. So the only way to fight this next boss is by picking up this upgrade. So now we just turn back and we go towards the boss. So all of the money and XP that I am getting, it is actually used at some point or another in the run. So here with that shrine, I managed to regain my HP, and due to the fact that I have the 1 safety 1-up, I don't have to stop and save everywhere. I can just continue and move on like as if nothing ever happened. I don't know what this guy's name is, but I call him Lean Back for a reason. You'll be able to tell why as soon as the boss stops moving. But as you can tell, he likes to chill on his chair. And as soon as he dies, that's why I call him Lean Back. He just kind of... His legs on his chair breaks, and he goes backwards. I don't know, I find it funny, but... There you go. Dungeon 2 is down. It's cool, I'm at work, I'm having a pretty down day, so I'll just hang out. Aww, hopefully things get better for you, man. So, I am gonna showcase and commentate what the casual new game Unrestricted, which is, it allows you to essentially do 90% of glitches in the game and show the major differences between them, because, again, there's 60 different ways to play this game, and every single one is unique. So there is a no major glitches, and there is a new game Unrestricted. Due to the fact that, again, this is no major glitches, I'm not doing any glitches that would essentially make me go faster, but when I showcase the new game Unrestricted, you'll be able to tell the major differences between what it is you end up skipping because of the glitches. But due to no major glitches, it's essentially just play the game like it's kind of intended. Not really, kind of, but... So, for example, due to the fact that this is a ultimate evil, so there's a morality system that the game has. So there is a good morality and there's a bad morality. So there are quests and side quests that you can do that would give you either good morality or bad morality, depending on what it is you chose to do. So in this case, I have to do the bad things in order to defeat the boss, which is Abbadon. I'm gonna power up to level 4. And what I'm supposed to be doing is, I'm supposed to be going around and doing a lot of different quests and side quests in order to get enough bad morality in order to be able to do the next sections of the run. But, we can actually avoid doing that completely, and I'll explain that when we actually get there. And I'll actually start showing that off as soon as Dungeon 3 is done. So as soon as Dungeon 3 is done, we are essentially halfway through the game, and that's when things start getting interesting. So by avoiding all of the quests and side quests, you're wondering yourself, how am I supposed to be able to do the evil section of the route without actually doing anything? And again, I'll be able to explain that as soon as this dungeon is done. So we ended up using the thunderstorm spell in order to summon Dungeon 3. You can't summon this dungeon without the thunderstorm spell, so that's why we needed that. And again, we weren't able to kill the second boss unless we picked up the break block upgrade. I ended up taking damage, which is not essentially what I wanted, but it's not really a big deal because I'm going to end up saving just in case I actually need it for the next trick that I will need to pull off. And because this is Maxime Gunn, I can kill all of these mermen as they come up, which is not something you'd be able to do with any other character, which gains you a lot of XP, believe it or not. I can just point down and kill everything as I go. So even though this dungeon itself seems super dangerous when it comes to any other character that you play as besides Maxime Gunn. With this guy, he makes everything rather easy. So, I go through the ground. That is not a major glitch. For some reason, if you're on a semi-platform that lets you go through by pressing down and jump, and you're next to a wall, for some reason, some of those sections, you'll be able to go through the ground. And it's not a major glitch because, you know, we're not doing any special setups in order to do it. We're just pressing down and jumping. So this is the reason why I needed a safety save. So I need to use these guys to hopefully boost me up here and get the next upgrade called Sky Call. I'm pretty positive that the developers of this game intentionally put those flying eyeball enemies to be able to skip having to go all the way around and picking up that upgrade, because obviously you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to go far to the right, then down, then back to the left and walk backwards, essentially. But due to the fact that the developers put that specific enemy, these eyeballs tend to want to follow you. You do this minor setup in order to have them bump you upwards and not having to do any of it. It's not a major glitch because it's not like it's our fault that the developers ended up adding an enemy that can actually help you when it comes to boosting you and not having to do a bunch of stuff that doesn't really matter. I don't know what this guy's name is either. This is the Dungeon 3 boss, but I call him Pyromancer because he likes to cast a lot of fire. But essentially, a major glitch would be moving with text boxes still on screen, or being able to teleport from anywhere that you want over to somewhere else entirely. Essentially teleporting without the teleporting spell. Wow, you almost got me, and that was a pretty fast kill. But yeah, pretty much anything, I'm pretty sure anything that the boss shoots at you, even with full HP, you're just insta-dead. And due to the fact that I already have half HP, I would obviously have died, but I actually don't know because, you know, you're not supposed to be taking damage, but that's why we have the extra 1-up anyway, so if I did end up dying, I would have been safe either way. But yeah, that is Dungeon 3, and this is where things get crazy. So, obviously, I need to go backwards for one. But yeah, essentially a major glitch in the game, you can actually tell that it is a major glitch, stuff that's not supposed to be happening, versus no major glitches. It's just explaining a little bit of the difference between no major glitches and unrestricted, essentially. So here, this is where things get a little bit nuts. So there's a chest that you can open in the first town, and if you open it, you gain either 75 gold or 100 gold, depending on whether you decided to donate to the chest before opening. And the funny thing is if it's in the day and you open it, it stays open. But if it's in the night and you open the chest is actually still closed. So if you donate to the chest, you get good morality for doing that. But if you open the chest, and that is bad morality. The difference is you gain more bad morality from donating to the chest and then opening it than you do from just opening the chest. And because I just made it nighttime, I can open that chest as many times as I want. As long as it's still nighttime, I can continue opening that chest forever and ever. So you could essentially get max negative morality, whatever that number is, because the game doesn't show you what morality you have, whether if it's good or whether if it's bad. So whatever that number is, you can get max negative morality. So now that I got that, we go back to Town 1. We're going to donate to the chest, which is going to cost 25 gold. And then we're going to open the chest 20 times. So this essentially is a really good spot to read donations or comment on anything that would need to be commented on. So there we donated, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So now that I opened the 20 chests, I need to go here, back to Town 2. I'm going to talk to this guy that gives me the quest for the negative morality into being evil. So the 20 chest allows me to skip every single quest and side quest that you would essentially need to do in order to be able to talk to that guy to begin with. And you don't need to do that many quests in order to have that specific guy talk to you and give you the code for this door, because that door is locked via a code. But we get the 20 in order to get enough negative morality to be able to do the entire side quest that you would have to do in order to be able to, you know, complete the route. So this guy essentially asks you to bring this guy as a sacrifice, the noble sacrifice. So they sacrifice him very gently and summon this demon, because these guys want to summon the demons in order to do something. I have no idea, to be honest, but essentially he's been sacrificed, the demon has been summoned. We need 3 of them. So now we go to Town 1. I was supposed to upgrade my strength and I forgot. But it's not a big deal because we still need to pick this up. I'll upgrade here. So if you're wondering, there is a day-night cycle when it comes to this game. During the day you have X amount of enemies. During the night you have more enemies, and they are different as well. So nighttime is more dangerous than daytime, depending on what you're doing, but obviously Maxime Gunn doesn't care because he can just kill everything from afar anyways. So this is the Dungeon 2 quest right here. So you talk to the mayor, you find out that the mayor is evil. The mayor asks you to bring these 2 characters in order to use them as sacrifice, which we're not going to do. We're just going to pick up the quest and continue moving forward. Like so. I pick up this chest because I need it in order to buy an extra weapon. I'm gonna save just in case. So because I have the extra 1-up as still safety, because I haven't died yet, I won't be taking the safety in this dungeon, even though I will say that this dungeon is probably by far the hardest dungeon in the entire game, regardless of who you're using. But again, we have the extra 1-up, and I'm pretty confident in my skill, hopefully, to not die. But it can happen, so, you know, if it happens, I don't know what to do. And what's cool with Maxime Gunn is he gets different abilities from the other characters. So every single character, regardless of who you play as, besides Maxime Gunn, you get the same upgrades no matter what you get. But as Maxime Gunn, he actually gets different upgrades. So for example, you're supposed to get a charge forward attack in this dungeon, but you actually end up getting a rocket instead. And in Dungeon 3, you're supposed to get an up charging attack, and Maxime Gunn actually gets a double jump, which is really cool. So this is another section where you could save a little bit of time by killing yourself and immediately starting in the spawn area where you spawn from in the game. So the way transitions work in the game is essentially the entire side of where the transition would happen, that's where you would need to enter. But if you can touch that same scene like I just did from a different spot, you'll still transition. You won't just end up dying. So that's normal when it comes to the game. Oh, right there, I just did another accident one. That was cool. So yeah, as long as you can touch the transition, it doesn't matter where you touch it from, you'll be able to transition regardless. So this is a huge skip. That's the skip right there that I would not be doing if I didn't have an extra 1-up. But thankfully, I was able to showcase. So what you're supposed to do is carry that swinging platform in order to get to the other side. But you can also skip it by doing exactly what I just did. And this is the 4th dungeon boss. I don't know what his name is, but I call him Lord Cowfish. A viewer of mine said that this guy kind of looked like the fish logo that I like using for my channel. Oh, okay. That he kind of looked like him. And I would very much highly disagree, but, you know. So you would essentially be able to kill this guy in 2 cycles, but he ended up damaging me and I didn't want to risk dying. So instead of doing the safety, what I would normally end up doing, I just took it extra safe by not constantly shooting. So there he goes. That is the Dungeon 4 boss. And Dungeon 4 is now done. We're going over to Dungeon 5. So far, I am 1 minute 22 seconds faster than just the normal routing of the game. So now I go to complete Quest 2. But before I do that, I'm gonna buy... Well, never mind, because I don't have enough money. I take these guys. I was supposed to have enough money to be able to buy Weapon 2 and save myself a little bit of time, but I didn't have enough money because I need 400 gold and I have 349. But it's not a big deal. We'll just sacrifice these guys. The question there is, who do you want to sacrifice? It doesn't matter who you choose, you just have to choose someone, then they end up summoning another demon, and we'll have enough money to be able to buy the weapon. So I'm going to go back here, buy the weapon, and continue over to Quest 3. This is weapon 3. Not the best weapon that you can get. There are 4 weapons and 4 armors that you can collect. 2 weapons and 2 armors you can buy, just scattered throughout the overworld. And the final weapon and armor you would get from completing their respective dungeon. So, the charge attack that the other characters would get, you would have to hold the attack button in order to get it fully charged, and then you can charge and use the upgrade. But this guy, because Maxime Gunn ends up getting a rocket, you can just press the button and he'll immediately shoot the rocket, which is really cool. Makes him have some really fast movement. So this is Dungeon Quest 3. So again, this guy just asks you, find this person in order to get the sacrifice, yada yada yada. If you don't have enough negative morality, whenever you talk to the quest givers, they'll just be like, oh, well, you haven't helped us enough, but I entrust you that you'll be able to satisfy my hunger of whatever, and then he'll give you the quest. But because we got enough morality for everything, we don't have to worry about that. So instead of immediately going to complete quest 3, we actually go over here, pick up this shrine, and then we teleport back to to town 1. That just saves a little bit of backtracking that you wouldn't otherwise would have to do. So you go back here, you take this monk, and then they very softly sacrifice him to summon the final demon. So now we can do essentially the last part that we would need in order to complete the route. But in order to finish completing the game's route, essentially, you need to also kill all the bosses. So if I were to... If this was a submit to Robert, for example, which is a different category, you wouldn't need to complete any of the dungeons. You can just grab the things that you need and then book it. But in this case, we still need to complete the things within the dungeon. So in order to finish the game, you still need to complete all the bosses. So that's exactly what we're doing. This is the final dungeon of the game. This is dungeon 5. And if you compare dungeon 5 with dungeon 4, dungeon 5 is actually pretty easy. The only thing that makes dungeon 5 difficult is the boss. And I'm gonna save before getting there, so even though I do have the extra 1-up as safety, I can still die and lose everything. And, okay, ooh. And I don't want to lose everything, so I'm still gonna end up safety saving just in case. And again, Maxime Gunn by far moves the fastest when it comes to using any character, just because of this rocket that he has, but also because he can double jump, which allows him to get pretty high up in the air without having to do every single type of platforming that the game requires you to have, I guess you can say. Okay. So one difference that this category has is when you go and defeat the last boss, which is what the category is, defeat Abbadon, this is the only time that you would actually end up picking this spell, at least when it comes to Maxime Gunn. So I'm going to pick up the Holy Spell in order to help me kill the last boss, because this boss is really that difficult. Now, in the new game Unrestricted, this boss would actually be the easiest boss that you can actually kill compared to anybody in the rest of the run, due to you're just completely invincible, which I won't be able to show here for obvious reasons, but you'll be completely invincible and beat the game by doing absolutely nothing. In this case, this isn't the Holy Spell, it's a Fire Spell, I guess, because the spells do change depending on whether you have good or bad morality. So it's just a fire spell, but I just call it Holy Spell because at the end of the day, it does the same thing as the Holy Spell. The only difference is that it is red versus white. So here I'm going to go through the ceiling because why not? But I'm gotta make sure I don't touch the very top, because otherwise I'll transition back to the top room, and I don't want to do that, so I have to jump below. So that's the sword boss. That is just a mini boss. I'm not sure if this is the only dungeon that has a mini boss, but this is the only required dungeon that has a mini boss. So this is Man Fish Squid. I don't know what his real name is, but he's essentially, he looks like a man, he swims down below like a fish, and he's got a bunch of arms and his huge mouth. Kind of reminds me of the squid, hence the name Manfish Squid. He also likes shooting Cheetos. Now that I'm not sure if I can even take a hit from these Cheetos or not. So if I end up dying, again, I have the extra 1-up to be able to get through this without having to redo everything I just did. But, you know, if I do end up dying and then dying a second time, I am going to have to go back and restart from the last save point that I did, which is right before the sword boss. Which is not a big deal, because that'll just be like 2-3 minutes loss. The biggest time loss right now would be this boss, and this boss is by far the most difficult boss in the entire game, mainly because of the amount of time loss that you would get from doing a regular speedrun. So if you were to go for, let's say, really good speedrun times, you're gonna have to be able to do this boss first try, which is essentially not a big deal, but if this guy wants you dead, you're going to die. And this guy has made me lose a lot of world record runs. And I do mean a lot of world record runs. So in this case, we actually managed to kill him first try, which is awesome. So we're not done yet. If this was the Belfagor category, the game would essentially finish here. You would go to the final boss and kill him, which is Belfagor, and, you know, that's where you would call time. But in this case, because this is Ultimate Evil, we still have one more dungeon to go through. And if I wanted, the only difference between the only difference between a Belfagor and Abbadon or Baphomet category is picking up the Necronomicon, which is exactly what we're gonna do right now. So I'm gonna safety save there just in case. So I'm gonna try and do this faster by jumping on the second tile, then charge on the first tile, jump, jump, and then jumping on the 0 tile. There you go. Charge. Charge again. Turn back. Jump and go through the wall because we can do that. Shoot. Jump, jump. Don't need to press that lever. Okay. So here's another cool thing. If I wanted to do a submit to Robert, besides the fact that, you know, you can skip a lot of other things, we can actually do a submit to Robert category right here. Obviously, we're not going to do it. Basically, Robert, that blue hooded dude, asks you whether you want to fall in line with him or not. And obviously, in this case, you choose not, but again, there's a lot of different ways to beat the game, so we could beat it 2 different other ways right now if we really felt like it. But obviously, we're not going to do that. So again, Maxime Gunn just makes this super cakewalk. So this is the horsey boss. Oh, wow. Well, that's why we have the extra 1-ups. That's a shame. Essentially died on a boss that does nothing. Get away from him. There you go. This is the final boss if you wanted to submit to Robert, which is Tancred. You actually meet this guy right in the beginning of the game. He's the one that helps you... he's the one that helps you open the bridge, the gate. So this guy right here, he is Robert. So this is the part where the Robert category would end. So as soon as this guy asks you the question, do you want to fall in line or not, you say no. And that is where the defeat Abbadon continues, because you decide not to listen to Robert anymore after all this time that you were ending up helping him. And this is the Necronomicon, the final item that we need in order to actually finish the defeat Abbadon category. And due to the fact that my safety 1-up is now gone, I'm gonna have to get it again by going here. So I'm gonna do this just for safety. I'm gonna activate this door before saving. That way, if I end up dying, I won't have to watch this cutscene a second time. It's a rather long cutscene. It's basically, the story is like the old man priest asks you that the evil that is plaguing basically the island is hiding behind this door, and the only way to open this door is by killing all of the bosses in the dungeons, which we already killed. And now we get to go inside of the dungeon. I'm gonna save in case I end up dying, because the chances of me dying is actually pretty high. So now I have the extra 1-up. Hopefully I won't need it, but you know, this boss is very difficult due to how he reacts. This is Belfagor. This is basically the any percent boss that you would kill in order to complete any percent. But because we have the Necronomicon, we can actually have this happen. He gets sucked up by Abbadon. And then we get transformed into like this demon angel thing that gives us a sword. And hopefully I won't die, but if I do, it won't really matter, I think. So anything I get touched by in this boss, I die. It doesn't matter how much health I have or anything like that. I would need to spend a lot of time getting max health in order to not die with one hit, but I don't have time to do that. So hopefully we get a little bit of luck and not die. So this is the final boss. So yeah, any of these tentacles fire. If I touch the lava, touch the boss, I end up dying. Oh god. Okay, we should be good. No! Oh! Wow! Wow! That Cheeto most certainly touched me, but I ended up killing the boss before that ended up happening. Holy. There you go. Oh, wow. That was a crazy ending. That's pretty much the only, like, serious time exists in this run. Wow. And that is the defeat Abbadon category. That boss, again, what makes him so difficult is even if you were to get, I believe, HP 4, you'll still end up dying with one hit. Just because of the amount of damage that the boss does. So I don't know if like buying armor affects Maxime Gunn or not, but essentially you would need to buy armor and get a bunch of health upgrades in order to take at least one hit from the boss. You can get a potion so you can take another hit from the boss, but it's either that or you just go in there and then hope that you can escape the lava spew that he does, the Cheeto spew, and the tentacle attack. And the boss, basically, that's his entire cycle. He attacks with the tentacles up and down, and then he spews out Cheetos, and then he does the multiple tentacle attack, and then his cycle starts again. And if you can get past that point, that's the reason why you need the Holy Spell, because the Holy Spell does extra damage, even though it doesn't seem like it does. It also makes you shoot 2 fireballs instead of 1. That is what helps you beat the boss in essentially one cycle, because you could go into the boss without the Holy Spell and just survive that until he dies, but I'd rather spend a little bit extra time picking up a spell and killing him within one cycle than to try and survive 3, because that lava spew is the most dangerous spew ever. So if that would have killed me, I would have lost, obviously, more time, but a 55-minute run when it comes to this game should definitely not be a problem, especially if you can get past Dungeon 5 Man Fish Squid on the first try, because he's the one that's gonna lose you the most time. But, yeah. That's it I will be submitting other categories and for the exact same runs, but those won't be explained via live. I'll be just submitting my normal world record runs and dubbing over them, just to explain a little bit of what's happening better than to just show you the video. But yeah, that is the Defeat Abbadon. Defeat Abbadon, no major glitches, casual mode with Maxime Gunn. And hopefully you enjoyed. And that's it. Appreciate you watching the video. Let me do... I'll do it in a second. But yeah, that was crazy. I am deadly surprised that the Cheeto did not kill me. It is nuts how close I got to dying.